And good evening and welcome to Health and Education Committee meeting and committee. Welcome to all of you. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes, and I need a motion to do so. Thank you, Ms. Cook. A second? Commissioner Soriano, a second there. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And second up is the community care report, which is on your electronic device there, and we have two terrific sources here. Ms. Cook, how are things going at community care?
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Cook, for that detailed report.
Move to approve that
report. we have a motion, a second from Commissioner Jordan, and things are going well, I'm sure, at community care. They almost always are. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, of course, there is none. And Ms. Garrett is with us, as she usually is, with Health Department report, and she's striding this way with reports in hand.
That's great there also.
Yes,
Thank
great. Thanks.
Ms. Garrett, what do you have for us?
I have two reports since we didn't meet in July. I have the June and July reports for us, and then also the contract I need to present.
Okay, if you go ahead with June, if you will,
Okay.
we'll just approve them both, I would assume, when you get through, if that's all right.
Okay, yes, sir. So June and July, we see increase in immunizations and child well exams for children going back to school. We've had some health issues that have hit a couple of our providers, medical providers. So our men's health and women's health are down because they're out on leave. And so that's affected our numbers. The counties that tag us, Wilson and Williamson, have been very generous in sending providers to share with us during this time of our providers being out sick, so that we can still have some services available. Our doctor has been out, and one of our nurse practitioners has been out. And then we had another nurse practitioner on military leave. So kind of affected both Smyrna and Murfreesboro numbers. But we have been able to keep our patients taken care of just through the coordination with the other counties that are close to us in Nashville, helping cover.
Do we reciprocate with them?
We do. We've helped them in a couple of different cases. Family planning, we share our provider with Sumner while they're going through some issues in Sumner County where they needed some help. And then also dental, we've gone back and forth. I have good news. I hired a dentist. How exciting is that? I'm so excited. And she's going through training and orientation right now. We should start seeing patients at the beginning of September. So, yeah, she's wonderful and very excited to be a part of our team. So,
Full-time, part-time?
yes, full-time. She's coming on full-time. And
She split time between Smyrna and Murfreesboro.
well, we only have the facility, the chairs, and the X-ray equipment in Murfreesboro.
So she'll be in Murfreesboro.
So she'll be in Murfreesboro, yeah. But, thank goodness we're pretty close.
Has this person been in practice elsewhere?
Well, she came out of school a year ago and did a residency, which is a voluntary extra study program that dentists can do, and she did it through the VA in New York. Manhattan is where she was. And so she got a lot of good experience through her residency. So she's ready to.
I hope we can hold on to that person.
I hope so too. The state did help increase the salary some, so I think that's going to help us keep people and help us maintain someone in that position. So.
The people who were out, the doctor, the practitioner, are they back?
No.
Okay.
With FMLA, they usually can be out like 12 weeks
Okay.
or more. So.
Move to approve the June and July reports.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. A second? Second, Ms. Cook.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just,
I'm sorry?
Yes. We're in August and it's awfully hot outside, but we'll be talking about holidays and moving meeting dates and things like that, which means that flu season is probably right around the corner. Are you gearing up for that?
Yes, we are. We'll be getting our shipments very soon, and also our protocol. So every year we get from the medical directors protocol on how to give it and who to give it to and who to target and all that. So probably our next meeting I'll be talking flu clinics and that. So yeah.
When would they recommend starting To get the shot.
Right now, if it's available at your provider or at your walk-in Walgreens or wherever you might go, then it's perfectly fine to, and will last you the entire season to get it as soon as you can. And like I said, we'll be getting ours very soon and start as well for our patients who we see inside, and then we'll start planning some of our senior citizen clinics that we do in all 3 of the cities. Just back to school just finished, and now it's time for flu, so one right after the other.
I think I saw a sign up about Walgreens getting flu shots there.
Yeah, I think it's out, ready.
Had several signs out, but
Mhm.
I think that was one of them.
Yeah.
Any further questions from Ms. Garrett? If not, you've heard the motion properly seconded. All in favor of approving June and July report, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, there's none, of course. Ms. Garrett, you have a grant contract to discuss?
Yes. One more thing. This is the every year grant that we do. You guys have already budgeted for this and approved it through the process and are already getting reimbursed, but the state is a couple of months behind on getting the contract officially done. So that's what I'm bringing, to get your permission to take that on to budget and
Is this what you expected? The amount, what you
yes,
expected?
yes, it's exactly what we have budgeted and matches with everything. Ms. Nolan has looked at it, and it's all what we expected.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. A second? Second, Mr. Soriano. Do we have to call a roll on this one? We've already approved the,
You've already done the money. I'll be happy to call the roll.
let's call a roll just to
Just to
make
be
sure.
safe.
I think we're all right. Go ahead.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Nothing else from Ms. Garrett?
Thank you,
you
guys.
so much.
Thank you.
Great job.
Appreciate it.
Becky, do you need the hard copy of this grant?
I was going to send it to Elaine.
Yeah.
If you can give it to me, I'll be happy. to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Special Projects, Ms. Jolly, good evening. Come on up and join us. Take it away. Thank you.
All right. The Stewart's Creek project and the Eagleville addition are, like Stewart's Creek is 94.84% spent at this point, and Eagleville addition is 94.58% spent. I've got 98% construction complete, and I'm sure that's 100% by now.
That 94% on both of them, does that mean that they could end up there? That
Probably not on Stewart's Creek, I'd say,
Okay.
but I'd say Eagleville's done.
just hoping. So Eagleville, we could end up saving some. Cool, very cool.
So the public knows, we have seen the special projects report, I guess, about 7, 8 days, so we've studied this already. If there are any questions, Ms. Jolly is the expert. She pushes the pencil. She knows where every dime is. Well, every quarter, maybe. If there are no questions for her, I have a few comments on Stewart's Creek a little later, but really not on the construction part of this. I need a motion to approve Ms. Jolly's report.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. A second?
Second.
Commissioner Turner, thank you. Any other further questions, discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And thank you, Ms. Jolly.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Teresa.
it very much,
Good job.
as always. Mr. Sandig and Director Odom, if you all are ready. We also have seen these items for about 10 days, I believe. 6 amendments. Committee, I've asked Director Odom or Mr. Sandig if they would start with the number 3 and 4, 5, and 6, and then come back to 1 and 2. I think 1 and 2 are probably may spark more questions than anything else. And let's take those 2 last. Mr. Sandy, please, or Mr. Odom.
Number 3, the Spectrum program. Spectrum is the gifted program which in the past has fallen under the state special education statutes, and it still does. But typically in education, we have them changing line item numbers for us, and So they ask us to make line item changes, so that's really what you're dealing with here. So that amendment that's in number 3 to amend $1,495,806 in already budgeted expenditures from line item 71,100, regular education, from 71,200, special education. But so those are just line item changes.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Phillips moves to approve. Thank you. A second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Turner. We have to call the roll on this one, don't we? Please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Number 4, Director Odom.
Okay, this is the energy position, and we, I think, told you earlier, Mr. Clardy was very good at, and we received a grant for an energy management position. It's Energy Efficient School Council grants, which was $167,060. And so this amendment is for the energy management position, the person who would fill that position. And so we want to amend $64,918 in other state revenue account 46,590, and to amend $64,918 in staff and benefits for the system's energy manager.
Is that a 1-year grant?
It's 1 year or 2.
I'm not sure on the position if it goes a bit longer.
We will have to, there'll be some monitoring equipment and things that we'll have to do with that. The board, of course, has done several things, and you've approved it in the past. You know about the lighting and the water savings and several things like that. We've had several companies that approached us about doing energy management for us, but they get such a high percentage of what they call your savings. They calculate the savings, and then they want such a percent that you're going into the hundreds of thousands of dollars paying them. And so the person we're looking for is certified in this, trained in this. We'd like to take a chance ourselves to see if we can't save additional monies and hire the thermostat police or something. It's kind of what Mr. Clardy calls it, to see what we can do to save some more energy monies.
Had we budgeted for this position before, or is this?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's new.
And so what happens next year when the grant goes away?
We will have to budget the position probably,
Yeah.
but hopefully that he's saving enough money that it pays for it. I mean, that's your goal, and more too.
It's a good way to look at it, because if they don't save us money, we don't need
Well,
them.
you can tell. Yeah.
I can support this, but you might expect a little pushback. We're pretty early in the budget process to be adding an employee that wasn't in the budget or wasn't, thought of before, because a 1-year grant is pretty, it'll be gone before you know it, and you still got a person sitting there to pay next year. And hopefully they'll well prove themselves and be making us money,
He wasn't approved, the grant didn't come through approval till this summer, which was after the budget process was done, which was the issue.
Yeah.
What's the start date?
As soon as we can get him within the next week or two or so. We've been interviewing, he posted the positions contingent upon the funding. So we'll have it fairly quickly, I think, I hope so.
And one of the areas that we really plan to use this position, there are times when our demand charge during peak times just really pushes up our electric bills. And that's one of the areas, there's some training available. The group that we have this grant through has been getting the last several years worth of electric bills, and then in my department we keep spreadsheets on them, where we keep the kilowatts and cubic square feet for the gas and all that, but we don't get into the demand analysis and all. And that is one of the areas where we think probably we will see a substantial savings, and that's going to be one of the points this position is going to closely monitor.
Staggering startup times for compressors and some things like that. You pay on whatever your highest demand is. So if we can get some schedules and programming to do that, then it certainly has a potential.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that commercial or industrial use isn't like a meter on your house.
Right.
You don't pay for what you use, you pay for the most, your peak
Yeah.
usage.
Yeah.
And if you can have a thing in where you
Yeah.
cut off the dishwashers or whatever, when a certain air conditioner kicks on or whatever, it could save us tremendous money.
Yeah.
The public would understand that as the little meters they would put on your home unit to turn your water heater off at certain times of the day, and they would give $2 or $3 a month off your bill.
So you said this position has a certain certification. Is there a good pool of candidates out there? I mean, are you finding?
Not a lot of people that are trained in this, and not at this price.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other issue. People who have done this for a number of years work for the bigger companies very often and might have six-figure salaries and that sort of thing. So, but we're looking for somebody at least been through the training, that sort of thing, and all, and saying we may have to grow them a little bit to do that. But you're not paying a six-figure salary for like an engineer's salary or something to start off with. This is more like a teacher's salary or something like that.
Any other questions on the energy position? If not, need a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. A second?
Second.
Commissioner Allen, thank you. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Career ladder, Mr. Odom.
Career ladder, again, is primarily, again, change in account numbering that the state's recommending there. So the first part is to reduce career ladder extending contract revenue, account 46612, and related career ladder expenditures by 37,507 to be, and to reclassify the superintendent's chief operating officer supplement as presented. I'll explain that one. Since directors of school and superintendents work directly for boards of education, the state offers a number of credits and things, CEO credits, and if you're familiar with what we're talking about in that, if you will attend that number of hours that they require, number of days that they require, they will send $1,000 to the system to go straight through reimbursement. The state does that. So what this is just that line item number for that also, which Mr. Gill did. It's been in place for a number of years.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. A second, Ms. Cook. Career ladder is about to disappear from the budget entirely. Would that be correct?
As long as people are, it's really kind of interesting to see. As long, you know, it's 1980s, career ladder
Right.
1980s, so every year there are fewer.
But they did open it up again in the late 90s for a bit. So we did get a few younger ones in on that.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? If not, call the roll if you would, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Director?
But one quick question I meant to ask on the energy grant and the person that's coming in. Will this committee receive updates periodically as to how that's going and the
We can bring him and let you meet the person
success
after a
of it?
while, if you'd like to.
I just,
Let him explain.
you know, it's easy to say we're going to hire this person and they're going to do this, but to be able to see in black and white the success or the failure, the success. Hopefully, I'd kind of like to see that periodically as to just black and white figures as to what's happening there. So.
You know, if this works out well, it might be something the mayor or the others may be interested in, things we learn that might be beneficial in other departments. You know, if it's possible, that would be a good thing to share.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea to meet the person either,
No,
as you just
we
kind of
can do that.
suggested, and I'm sure they'll know their mission statement and
We have the job description. I did not bring that tonight because the
as,
board
well,
approved
as
the job description.
Commissioner Jordan just mentioned a while ago, that this person is hired on 1 year,
Mhm.
and I'm sure they'll know that as well. So understanding of the mission statement might be a good idea.
Capital projects.
Yes, sir.
Fund 177. Basically what this is, you know, any projects that are not completed by the end of June, because we start the new fiscal year, we must come to the county commission, you know, get approval to extend those. So what these are things that are rollover from the June the 30th to the next year. And so Smyrna Laverne Stadium seating 155, and this is some of that ADA compliance, if you may remember us talking about that. Handicap areas.
Have we completed that yet? I was thinking that
Um,
Mr. Carty said it would be in place by the time.
It's not
things-
quite complete because of, there's some concrete placement and stuff like that, but hopefully fairly quickly now. They are working on it.
Football season's here.
I know.
Yes,
I
it
know.
is.
Smyrna Metal Roofing, $226,046. Central Office Paving, $10,735. And repairs to Angie Road at Wilson Elementary School, $24,248. And so the amendment is for those capital projects fund balance to complete them in 2013.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you both, Commissioner Jordan and Commissioner Allen. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
It says 2013, that means
14.
2013 slash 13.
Yeah, he
That means
just
you're
put it on his
gonna,
pencil, we
that
just
means you're gonna
noticed it.
finish them by the end of December, I guess.
Catch some of that.
Back to number one there, if you would, textbooks.
Number one, textbooks is an anticipation transfer of budgeted amounts. And what we ran into is we're doing the budget this year for reading adoption textbooks. The price came in higher than we anticipated and estimated. So the reading adoption that we purchase typically will for this year, 6-year cycle on textbook adoptions, is social studies. And social studies actually is kind of one of those K through 12 subjects. So you know that your adoption is going to be larger than what we had before. So this is just an anticipation of that to amend $1,250,000 from what was unassigned fund balance and put it in the textbook line item for those purchases. We typically make the order in late May or June because you want them in place in August when school starts. And so typically what we're doing is buying the next year's adoption and then so they'll be in place. So that's what we're looking at. This would be a social studies adoption.
And I did put in this when you asked about the energy grant. On June 28th, I had to add $448,000 to the reading adoption purchase order. It was too late to do anything for the budget, but just as that, when we got the initial order in, it was substantially higher than I thought. And the last time we had this adoption, we spent 2.7, but probably about $1 million of that was for growth textbooks. We spent well over 2, I'm thinking 2.5 to 2 3/4 on this reading adoption this time as it unfolded. And we had a smaller amount of growth textbooks, but as June was unfolding, it became a concern of mine.
Reading is primarily elementary and middle,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that's why it's usually our lowest
Mhm.
adoption.
And it probably will continue to be our lowest. It's
Well,
just
it probably will. It's just
went up on us. So.
What I took from this was that textbooks are getting extremely expensive. And we really have no choice.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before the meeting, and electronically, there's just no visible way right now around this, is there?
Yeah, Alex, let me say what I kind of was telling you, because
Fine.
we get asked this, and the board asked us
Mhm.
this question too. Typically, right now, the bidding price for an online textbook is about $15.95 per year. That's Apple is offering that. Well, in a 6-year cycle, when you take a look at that, it's actually $14.95 because it comes to about $90. Well, very often elementary textbooks are $75 to $85, so they're not higher than that. But that alone is not your issue. The other issue is bandwidth to do it, because when they click on a textbook online now, it takes them to another link or something. And I mentioned to you earlier, we were receiving a $2.1 million grant this year from the state, which is a one-time grant. One of those is to kind of double our bandwidth to get ready for the park assessments and that sort of thing. Had we even done that, buying online textbooks, I don't think we would have had the bandwidth capacity because we started running out last year. The other issue is you're going to have to buy the device for the kid very often. You're also going to have to replace, if you use laptops, batteries, which are kind of expensive. They do not last as long as desktops. And you got to come up with a charging system and keep that done, plus the replacement. So, and you know, it sounds good now, but all of the little economic pieces are not there yet. I mean, some of the big hardware players have got to get into this, and make it really competitive, you know, and then I think it'll happen. But it just so far hasn't happened at this point.
And also what we faced, that test that we had at Kittrell, where the, remember the name of the foundation,
Yeah.
gave us the small notebook PCs to ultimately be passed on to the students. One of the issues we ran into was kids, families not having internet access that was power. If they had it, it often wasn't powerful enough to really be able to use the device at home.
Yeah, you're gonna provide a device, then you may have to provide a router
Mhm.
or internet connection, or it just
Yeah.
cascades, you know.
It sounds like it would save lots of money, but when you
Mhm.
put the pieces to it, right now, it's not there.
Mr. Mayor?
I just want to ask a sort of a technical question. I haven't found yet, within my own personal experience, that I can use online, say textbook or otherwise book. I mean, I'm just not as comfortable learning with that as I am with a book in front of me. Is there any statistical studies that show that I'm the only one out of touch with this?
No.
No.
Here I am.
I'm with you, but the younger people do not see it that way.
Personally, I believe it's worse on your eyes to stare at this lit
yeah.
screen than it is to stare at a page on a
yes.
book. Because you're looking at a bright light,
Yeah.
instead of a bright light behind you. And I believe everybody's gonna be having eyeglass or vision trouble much younger ages than they did on the people that are, say, 40 and up. You know, the younger people that have been staring at these things, they're all gonna be wearing glasses at 30 years old. I didn't get mine until I was 49.
I got mine when I was 30.
Sure, I have a kind of what may be an antiquated question, but if I remember right, there was a period of time when I was in school that we were having a textbook crunch as well. And it seems like they had like 30 textbooks for that classroom, and they stayed in that room, and the teacher found creative ways for you to do at-home learning, and that, you know, predated internet.
Still do that in high school in many courses,
Okay,
especially
I was just-
CTE,
Okay.
career and technical education, many of those where it's more of a reference book or something like that. But I mean, you really want board members to get calls as do not send the science book home with that elementary student, or spelling book, or math book is really will get you telephone calls in a hurry. But in high school, typically where it's more of a reference or something like that, we buy classroom sets and keep them in the classrooms. It's not uncommon.
I mean, I was sure it probably created its own set of learning problems as well, you know, but I just didn't know if that's anything that we've looked at.
Yeah, we do that. I don't know exactly how many. I could probably find out fairly close, but it's a considerable number in high school that's classroom sets. Again, not usually the math is algebra 1, algebra 2, those things where there's lots of homework associated like that.
Right.
That unassigned fund balance is internal to you.
It is.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. A second?
Second.
Commissioner Allen, I think, won the seconding battle. Call the roll, if you would, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Let's hear about Blackman Middle. I'm
Did
sorry.
Did I attach copies of the bid sheet to the file that y'all got?
Not with
No.
Okay. That's,
Yeah, I brought some copies. Okay, so we need to refer on this one.
Mayor, you want okay.
Give it
I passed them all around there.
Okay, Mayor, you want to?
We might have one extra one.
The good and bad news for the Blackman Middle Annex as we look at that, the good news is the economy must be recovering because the bid prices came in about $600,000 more. We've usually been pretty good at estimating and even coming out with a little extra, you know, as we looked at that. As you were talking about the Eagleville project earlier, but when these bids came in, and the bid sheet shows what we're talking about here, they just came in more than our estimate. So we're off approximately $600,000. Talked to Mr. Shelton yesterday, 1,170 students at Blackman Middle. Another high growth year. So what we're proposing to do is take again from the ending fund balance, our ending fund balance, and move $623,800 from general purpose school unassigned balance to Fund 189 so that we can go ahead and start this project and get it going. So that's our amendment tonight, basically. And you can see the bids if you'd like to take a look at that on the sheet.
What would this do, Mayor, when we sent out to borrow the money? What would this do? Would we borrow this additional money?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
I have one question. We sort of put 7.4 million into our capital project report,
And this covers the difference.
but we still got $7,038,000 left in the capital projects report that she gave us tonight, which is almost enough to cover the 762. So are you saying is this additional money for soft cost, equipment, furniture?
The number in the building report includes the furnishings, the equipment, the
So
technology.
right now, we've already put in our report enough money basically to cover this construction cost, but we're not gonna have enough money to cover the other forthcoming soft cost and
Right.
furnishings and equipment. Okay, so we got enough money to pay for the construction, we just don't have enough to pay for what it takes to finish opening the building up. Is that a fair statement?
So the $7,062,000 is not lock and key, as Commissioner Stanley would say.
So
That's just the construction.
Yeah, with the way the bids came in.
Yeah, we have enough money to cover that, short of about $30,000, but we don't have enough to take care of the other things that would be coming down the road.
What's the reason for all the deductions in these different columns? Are they not providing those things, or are they saying those things you already provided in their bid?
He went back to try to bring
Yeah.
it down sometimes, which Gary does. Sometimes if he comes in high, you try to come in and see what can we deduct that might not
So
have
those are
changed
things we're not getting?
substantially.
Those are things he's cut
If
from the
it's a
project?
deduct, we would not.
Okay.
And when we go through the bidding process, we will break some of the items out, either to get some alternates or possible deductions so that we can easily come up to that apples to apples number. We do, under state law, we can negotiate with the lowest and best bidder on our construction projects. Sometimes that's the route we take, but we try to have these alternates and deducts, just see where the money comes in and decide.
So, for example, if you go with the low one here, Biscayne, you're not going to get bleachers. Is that bleachers have come out?
Was that?
Yeah,
Number five?
that if you remember, it had a play area in that so that sixth grade is basically a sixth grade wing, and so what you're saying at this time, we're not going to put bleachers in that or something. They really will be playing games over in the main facility anyway. So
Yeah, because it was like an auxiliary gym.
it
but for
is.
those,
It's mainly a play exercise area for that sixth grade class.
So that fixed basketball backstop assembly, do you know what that is? I mean, is that basketball goals, or have we eliminated basketball goals?
Typically what they do there, the fixed would be, they have additional ones sometimes on the side or so. They'll have your main area that you could have an
Gotcha.
intramural game or something like that, but you'd have others that might be on the side or something like that for them. So you just cut back on some of
Because
that.
I'm just like, I can't build them a gym and I give them basketball goals. So,
It
let's
tends
try to be practical here.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Well, the gymnasium itself in the new wing is a PE.
It's a PE room. It's really a PE room.
It's not for any type of game other than just a PE game.
You used to wind up a junior pro or something, or used to on the weekends.
I wanted to ask you how the zoning from Blackman Elementary, because that's really Blackman Middle's future. And I know you moved some students out of there and to Rockvale and to Baker Road.
Primarily we moved them to Browns Chapel.
Browns Chapel,
This time.
yeah.
I know those. We took those that were on the Medical Center Parkway area. We had a number of students that because that we did grandfather those coming into the fifth grade, the last one. But many times we didn't grandfather siblings in all this time. The board did not. So The principal at Brown's Chapel actually told me she had several parents that say, hey, I'd rather just keep my kids together and go out there. Not sure exactly how many, but she is up in a number of those. So Blackman Elementary did not increase as much as we anticipated in this particular case. We're actually seeing this year, it's interesting, and we'll try to have more for you next time. It has to settle just a little bit. But Rockvale area grew. Both the elementary and the middle school grew. Still some of that growth, Smyrna Laverne area, you know. But Brown's out Stewart's Creek, those kind of the elementary, we closed off any zoning exemptions to the middle and the elementary out there. And of course now we've got some new projects being approved out there, so that'll become an issue fairly quickly. But we closed off allowing additional zoning requests to go there. You know, they can apply for zoning exemption. But that area is beginning to, and Rockvale kind of surprised us that much. Rockvale. So, but we'll get you some with growth numbers and that sort of thing. A little over 1,200 it looks like right now, growth over the end of last year. You know, which is kind of 2 years in a row of over 1,000.
So how are you accommodating the kids at Blackman Middle right now, just with portables?
Portables.
How many have you got out there?
And you have teachers that rotate. How many we have there right now? I'm not sure.
I'm just
I
curious.
can shoot you something on that one. We put teachers on carts, rotate. When one teacher's their planning period, another teacher goes in the room to do that. So we try to utilize it, you know, all periods of the day like that. So we do some things.
I know you've always
Try to
been
be
very creative. Yeah.
You learn to be.
Well, and we did not want to buy any portables.
Right. Right.
We
Yeah,
tried
we
last
felt
several
we had,
years.
yes.
We tried not to
Oh,
do
it's-
that.
Yeah, we have not since, I think, Laverne Lake, before Laverne Lake was built. I think it's the last time we bought it.
We just move them around.
Yeah.
We did move some additional ones. We moved some from at Blackman Elementary, and there we moved some from actually Riverdale.
Okay.
Because remember, we took some Riverdale students and moved them to Blackman, and we removed some Blackman to Stewart's Creek High School. So it was kind of a domino effect there. So we went in and pulled 2 or 3 portables, something like that. A double wide, I know, went to Blackman Elementary, that sort of thing. So it was that combination move. Cost of moving a portable is now like 15, something like that. Is
Yeah,
that
and setting it up
Mhm.
for use.
That's
Mhm.
kind of what it costs you just to move them around.
Yeah.
All the electrical connections,
Right.
steps, handicap accessibility, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we want, you'd think we'd be able to reuse the ramps. Well, you can't because you're on different,
Right. Topography. Yeah.
topography varies enough, but yeah.
Other questions? If not, I need a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve because the city's helping us out by building an elementary school. But that's even more kids are going to be going to middle school because those kids will predominantly go to Blackman, I would think, and stuff. So we've got to get this project underway. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Ms. Allen. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Mr. Director, anything else?
Could we make a report to you? We did have some bid openings today, and we've got those. We're not making anything tonight for any action, but Smyrna primary bid did come in today. And so that's coming around. Do you have those? That
We
one,
do not.
let's distribute them. Yeah. Let's give you those so that you can see what we got. We'll probably do one, bring something maybe in September or something like that to take a look. Give the mayor one too. These were opened late
Got an extra one.
this afternoon. And has everybody got, I've got another one here. This afternoon, opened those bids, $2,266,500. And our estimate on that was $2,200,000. So this one, again, was over just a little bit, but proportionally not as much as we were off. That we were off at Blackman Middle School and looking at that. Liberty Construction, Gary is checking that now, but typically not one we've done a lot of business with. You know, how long they would hold the bid, I can't say. Because if you notice across there, R.G. Anderson is fairly large, and Sane is, but we didn't get some of the others that we typically have had
Where's Liberty?
bid on that one. Well, that's what he's checking into now
I
and
mean-
see. If they have a bond, if they get, usually if they're on projects, can get a bond for this size, he'll do some background checking. Again, we didn't open them till late this afternoon, and he's in that process of checking them now. But typically, if they can get a bond to do that, their company's established enough that you could be comfortable with them.
Are they
doing it.
local or are they out of county?
He thought Nashville,
Okay.
basically. is
I'm a
what
little
he thought.
surprised we're bidding this yet because the commission hadn't approved this project.
Right, it's true.
We just approved the design,
Right,
knowing that we could
right.
hold that design on the shelf if we didn't feel
Right.
like we had the money. So, you know,
Right.
I hope we hadn't got the cart before the horse a little bit right here, but we've still got to have that argument all the way through the committee process.
Right. This is just FYI for you. It'll give you something to talk about with firm figures.
Normal hold and honor a bid is 90 days, 180 days? What's normal? Or does that make any difference? It's whatever they say,
Well, I mean, usually you don't have any trouble with at least 60, you know, sometimes 90 or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check and see. Most of major companies, unless something really changes, will hold for you a little while.
Any question for the director? Because this is not on the agenda particularly. You're not asking for any action whatsoever, but this would be a good opportunity, I guess, to, well, you've got to study for next time if that's when he chooses to bring it, whatever he chooses to do, whatever the school board chooses to do.
We had 10 reward schools this year, which was a good thing.
Saw that in the paper.
We had
Yeah.
6 last year and 10 this year, which was a good thing to see. A list of reward schools, and the reward school means that you're in the top 5% from the state, either in your overall performance or in your growth.
Congratulations.
You know, so that's a good.
Got a lot of good publicity too. I know it's in the Murfreesboro Post and it was in the Daily News Journal both.
Well, there's a lot of people working very, very hard out there. We will get a list probably sometime this week, which they call near reward, and you'll be surprised how many additional schools we may have that, and it's because of one little area or one subgroup declined a little or something like that, and you get thrown off the reward list, but you still met the other conditions with the exception of that. So we'll let you know when we kind of find out who the near reward schools are that's added to it, but it should be several more.
Is this one of those rating systems that it does how much you improve from the previous year?
The schools that get it for progress,
So you can be
yes.
going like gangbusters,
Yes.
and next year you don't get it because you've got to get better than you were before.
Well, that's true for just
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, and so that's what somewhat,
Right.
you know, you almost need to have a poor year so you can get back on track the next year. I mean, it doesn't reward you for staying up on top. Once you get on top, you know, you can't get any more achievement awards because you aren't. I think it's a little bit flawed the way they do some of that stuff.
I describe it to my principals a little bit like a dog chasing his tail. If you kind of get where you're close to catching it, then they still extend it. So every year on what's called annual measurable objectives, AMO, which is your performance, the state usually raises that 2 to 3% ahead of where you were the year before for all these groups. So you're always chasing after where it might be.
When will we know about achieving any of the objectives that were set out for us with the race to the top and the race to the top money? And you always hear about how low Tennessee ranks nationally. When will we know if we're making any traction in moving up that list, which is ultimately the goal?
Of course, if the commission will tend to do most of those reports overall. I mean, our numbers are going up. We know some. And I don't know whether you may not remember at the time when we were early on. That's when I was really in instruction the first year when we got the race to the top. Basically, what we did with most of our money, we didn't hire anybody other. We got one person, which is that's our data person that was hired with race to the top. And I'm hearing other superintendents, directors tell me their freight is running out now. They got 20 employees and 25 employees. But when our orders, we went in and purchased materials. One of them was for the elementary area, that we purchased hands-on materials for them to teach math, and we went K through 6, basically doing that. So it was actually something that when it ran out, it was not something that would be gone. It would still be left with us. We also spent some money on a data tracking benchmark assessment system to try to track progress of students, to know what skills are not being mastered, where are you in this process. There's 2 or 3 things about to take place, and I haven't outlined this all with my board yet, but this next year they're doing some things at the state level that's going to catch us. One, the attendance program we're using in about 90 to 100 systems of the 139 in Tennessee will no longer be supported. It's gone, which was, in ours is STAR. It's owned by Pearson. Basically, they'll no longer support it. The state's in the process now. They put out RFQs, proposals. They've selected some. They'll come back and probably put out 4 or 5 vendors. So we know there's going to be a change for that. The state's still saying they may pay. We weren't having to pay anything but support for the STAR system. Now, how it will turn out, I'm seeing a subtle shift of the state shifting costs more back to the local. You picked up on this a little bit on when they say that we're not going to pay teachers above master's degrees and stuff like that. They changed the whole salary schedule and all. You know, that kind of makes you nervous when you see things, unfunded balance. There's another thing called RTI squared, response to intervention squared. The whole process of identifying a student for special education changes on July 1, 2014. We will have to have in place a universal screener, which is an assessment system that screens every student in systems K through 12, and you have to intervene very quickly for students that are not doing that. It has a parent progress report back. The thing that worries me there is that some of those universal screeners, $6 a student and stuff like that, that you start beginning to think about. But state's not come out with any particular names, and we're not purchasing now. But that's going to be another unfunded mandate, basically, that we'll have to try to meet somewhere. The idea is to try to pick up students earlier so that maybe they really do not have a learning disability if we can get the interventions in there. But it's an ongoing task, because when the student is required interventions, you're going to have interventionists. So there'll be some repurposing of some of your special education people, some of your other people, to try to accomplish as much as this can within house that we can do. Some places that have been doing a little bit of RTI, some states that have done this, have seen a substantial reduction in students that actually certify for disability. We are now a little bit below the state average, somewhere around, say, 13% of your population are in some form, could be gifted or, the other. So in some places where this response to intervention has been going on for a while, those numbers have dropped 3, 4, 5, 6% if they've been in it a while. So, I think it might be the right thing to do, to try to pick up kids earlier, quicker. As long as you got the data to do that, you know specifically what the disability is. When I speak to people, I kind of liken it to the doctor saying, well, go home and take 2 aspirins, but in this case, we want to do an analysis to see what's making you hurt, and maybe we can go in and target that specific disability that you have. Is it number sense in mathematics? Then we need to put you with a group of students and a person to help you learn the number sense. Or if it's a fraction issue or so it is definitely much more targeted than the broad net of, hey, let's double dose kids and do it again. It is getting specific analysis of where your learning problem might be, or concept or skill that might be missing, and go target that. That's better. It is better.
Well, I just know one of the things that I've observed, I had an 8th grader 5 years ago, and I have an 8th grader now. This 8th grader's smarter, and the teachers are smarter, and they're teaching harder stuff, and so, and I'm seeing, and it was over a cultural change just even in my school, and so that's why I was just wondering you know, I can tell we're doing well. Unfortunately, you know, both my boys have gone through Thurman Francis, which you know is a terrific school. So, but I'm just curious, as a system, you know, I want us to get credit for that. And I because you hear so many negative things about teacher morale and different issues, they're doing a lot of things right, and they're doing a lot of things really good. And so I just want to make sure that they get that good press as well, you know, when we can give it to them. So.
Well, at Thurman Francis, you mentioned that, and actually made the top 5% of the state for performance and progress. So, top 5% in their proficiency rating, and then for their progress, which people say you can't always take a magnet school group of students and raise them. They've just disproved that, you know. So it happens.
But they've got a great group of teachers and a great
very
leadership.
dedicated.
Yeah. So.
Very driving.
Yeah.
Anything else for the director?
Oh, I did have
Mr.
one.
Sampy?
I have one more thing. Did you want to make any comments about the lockdowns in Smyrna today?
We did. We received a note. It was noise behind Smyrna West in the woods back there. I told my secretary, you know, squirrel season opened on August 24th. I do not know that that's it. It's pure speculation. But when the police descended on the area, they did not find anything. But as a precautionary measure, which is part of our protocol, that school was on code red, and a number of associate schools, David Urey and Smyrna Primary, Thurman Francis, in the general area were on the code yellow lockdown. And that we did exactly what we needed to do.
Right.
But it didn't turn out to be anything,
So
which
that-
is usually the case. Usually
That
the
was
case.
actually a live event because we, at least at my house for David Urey, I got a call yesterday saying they were going to do a practice lockdown.
This wasn't planned.
And my wife said, I said, oh yeah, remember that was the note we got. So that was an actual lockdown. I just thought it was part of the drill. And she's like, well, why would they send out a communication? I said, I'm sure they're doing all the protocol. I didn't know that.
The state legislature required this year, there was a new law that we have to do within the first 15 days of school, and the first 30 days of school, you have to do a fire drill and you have to do a lockdown drill. So while we've been doing them, they've moved much of that up to a mandated time, kind of within that particular first month of school. So, but the one today was in reaction to somebody heard what they thought. Could have been blasting over there off of Rocky Fork and some of the areas where they're doing. But anyway, somebody called it in and called it the police department, and we responded.
Does that count as your drill? Or you
Yeah,
still have it?
Well, it wasn't universal for everybody.
Or at least those schools.
Those schools it was real, and that was a good enough
They
drill.
covered it. But I'm still not sure it wasn't a squirrel hunting back
Yeah,
in
that's
those
right.
woods behind.
That's right. Poor squirrel hunter scared to death hiding in the bushes right now.
SWAT team.
Anything else for the director? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate both of you being here tonight. Number 6 on your agenda, a committee. First of all, since the director's still here, thank him for the opening of Stewart's Creek. It was terrific. If you hadn't had a chance to tour, be sure and do so. Also, I invited Dr. Harrell to address the county commission, and we discussed October or November when he got rolling down there pretty good, got his numbers, etc. Of course, he readily agreed to do that. We just haven't decided on a date yet, but I wanted you to be aware of that during the Health Education Committee report at the county commission, probably October, it could be as late as November, which brings me to the next thing, and that is that he invited us on the night that we took the tour. I think he said, Commissioner Jordan, if you would like to just tell the committee that we'd be glad to have them come down here and have one of their meetings down here, and which sounded fine to me, but I'm just one vote on that, and I didn't commit to that. But perhaps that's something we might discuss next time. And we might think about October or November, or not at all, if whatever you all like to do. One thing for certain, I think we were in one of his meeting rooms there, where I think the faculty meetings are held, I think, or whatever, and it's perfect for something like that if we wanted to do that, which would be perhaps nice. So be thinking about that. Any comment on any of those three things? If not, I'll move on.
I thought you wanted to go to criminal justice where you could sit on.
Oh, yeah.
I want nothing to do with anything having to do with criminal justice. I managed to avoid that for 60 some odd years, I'm going to continue to avoid it. If there's nothing on either of those subjects, committee, let's move on to number 7. And I asked Ms. Taylor to send out some possible dates and to look at October, November, and December. And I think Ms. Shelton, I believe, has that material too, I hope, but it's on here. So the 22nd, kind of an odd way the month runs. It is just really counting the weekend, just 5 days after the commission meets. And if there's no objection to this, the 29th is available. And I'm going to move that the October meeting to the 29th, unless there's some major objection from somebody. I'd like to do that.
That's a great idea.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. I don't know if everyone agrees, but we're okay there as far as you know. Okay, now, unfortunately, I believe Ms. Taylor told me that the 26th of November, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, kind of wanted to get out of that month if we could, but it's almost impossible. And it seemed like we had to meet then last year too. I just, of course, school's out on the next day, Wednesday, and but at any rate, we're going to leave it on the 26th unless there's some objection. Commissioner
The only
Jordan?
question I have with moving too many meeting dates is this committee gets reset next month. And we could have a bunch of different people sitting here.
True.
Probably not, but, you know, there could be 7 different people sitting here, and we might want to wait and do the bulk of our changing, if it doesn't have to be changed, after we see who's sitting here next month.
Well, that's an excellent idea. My suggestion on December was that usually we don't meet in December, but like you said, the next committee could have a new chairman, could have all new people. We don't know. Okay, I guess they can decide on that next month. So
I mean, the body of this group will probably stay very similar, but it might be a little cleaner to do it that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree, just in fairness, because I wouldn't want to spring that on someone if there was a couple new committee members. I would agree with Commissioner Jordan on just waiting if we can.
okay, you're okay with October? Let's go ahead and get October firmed up.
Mr. Chairman, let me
yes,
make one sort of generic comment here. We give a public notice on all of these meetings a year in advance because, you know, we determine what days we're going to meet. So we have to change, we have to issue every single meeting that we change, we have to issue another public notice. So it's not a lot of money, but it's a little bit of money. So if you're going to change 2 or 3 of these, it would be good to change all of them, make a decision on all of them so we can make 1 more public notice as opposed to 3. I'm saying this not just because of this committee.
Mm-hmm.
The frequency of changing these meeting dates appears to be getting more and more with a number of our committees.
One of the issues with Thanksgiving week is that participation is down. We'll come, and not all of us will be here because of family commitments, travel commitments. Not all the people that report to this committee will come because of the same thing. And not to say that we shouldn't have it there, but that week kicks off the holiday season, and there's going to be, it's the busiest travel week of the year, no doubt. So to me, to be conducting a lot of meetings on those big holiday weeks, well, just like December 24th, you know, it's on the calendar, okay? It is. Is there anybody in this room would come to that meeting if we had it on the 24th? I think the answer is no, so we've got to change that. And in my mind, to have a meeting scheduled 2 nights before Thanksgiving, when a lot of people are going to be thinking about other things, just does not make a tremendous amount of sense. So, but it's on there, and if that's what we want to do, I think that's what we'll do. But still, as we look at things in the future, we ought to really kind of look at those dates and not just put them on the calendar, because December 24th, I believe, is on the calendar. I believe it is. But once again, we knew when we put it on the calendar we weren't going to do it. So I think we just ought to do a little bit better job in scheduling those things. This committee, as Chairman said a minute ago, usually meets the last week of month. And there's a quirky thing going on next month when we would have to meet on the 3rd, and I think moving that is absolutely positively appropriate to give us a couple of weeks after the commission meeting and a couple of weeks before the next commission meeting to take care of business. And I think that's appropriate, but the one for December is well, there won't be anybody here. I mean, these guys probably are going to be with family and friends and not be spending a tremendous amount of time on the 24th and dealing with school business. So
I think it's safe to say that Mr. Sandy will have no business on the 24th.
Unless Mr. Odom thinks I need.
An excellent answer. Well, here's my suggestion, and mainly, I guess this is my suggestion, so we can get past the committee assignments, which we will have in September.
Okay.
So here's my suggestion. Let's go ahead and change. And Mr. Mayor, I think this is really the only appropriate action, really. Let's change October to the 29th to get it on the appropriate Tuesday night, and then let's wait until September, and we can decide what to do about Thanksgiving and what to do about December. Reminding you that we may not meet at all in December. which
Would it be
solves the
appropriate
problem.
for us to pencil in the 29th of September and legally change it next month? And that was still, and that way the office staff and whoever, the mayor's staff could do it all at once? I mean,
Is that enough notice?
Oh, yeah, it only takes 5 business days or something.
yeah, we could
All right.
we could pencil in the
We can do
29th
that.
right now and do it officially next month when we do the rest of them, and that was fix the mayor's problem of doing them all at once.
Because it's still over 30 days notice.
Sounds very reasonable. Okay, you all keep that in mind then for discussion at our September, I believe it's the 24th meeting, I think that's right. Somebody's looking for me and.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Okay. Any other new business to discuss, committee? Seeing none, hearing none, thank you so much as always. We are adjourned.